Thrive Nation, on today's show, we interview Reggie from the No BS Band. The No BS Band is the band that famously crashed Forbes to become famous. Check them out. Google them right now. It's the No BS Band. Now, without any further ado, it's Reggie.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're turning over the show hosting duties to Jill Donovan, the CEO-ish of Rustic Cuff. Jill the Thrill, how are you? And take her away, my friend.
Thank you, Clay. Thanks for having me here to take over the show. Why? I'm a little offended that you said CEO-ish.
Well, I think you're on the verge. I think you have to have 137 employees. And I think right now there's like 129.
135.
Therefore, 135. Yeah. And so there you go. You get a mega point for that, by the way, for knowing the number of employees, and I lose a mega point.
How long? How many of those will I get?
Sound effects?
Today.
Well, a lot of times I get, like this one right now is the new one I'm on. So this one here, listen to this and try to look at me and don't laugh.
Okay.
So look at me. Commit yourself. Just think of the most serious thing ever. This is like taking the ACT. Here we go. You can't do it. And it just keeps coming like a hammer. See? You like that one.
I'm not
laughing.
I
don't know.
Okay, here's the deal.
Yeah.
I am CEO-ish because ish means sort of, kind of, not really yet.
On the verge.
Okay. And that's how I always feel. I still feel mom-ish as well. But today, I wanted to start off the show. You interview everybody extremely well, and I'm addicted to hearing your interviews and your interview questions. But I wanted to turn the tables on you today.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to see if I would hire you if I were hiring. In other words, I want to interview you as if it were for a job.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. I don't ask typical interview questions.
That's fine.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, what is your biggest pet peeve?
When the labels aren't facing out, when I have to share a bathroom with people.
That's 2. When you say labels aren't facing out, what do you mean by that?
Everything has to have a clean line. So I don't like cabinets or drawers or anything where chaos can ensue. It has to be like clean lines. Organization, I guess. Okay. Lack of organization makes me crazy.
So if you came over to my house and I asked if you would go get something out of the fridge and all the labels were turned around to the back.
I would let it go.
Would you leave?
No, I'd let it go, but it is a pet peeve of mine. Okay. So I have a separate bathroom from my wife, and I cannot cohabitate that. We sleep in the same bed,
right? But
I don't go into the majority of the rooms in my house ever. I literally go to the kitchen, living room, and the man cave. I don't walk into when we sold our last house, I hadn't been upstairs. I think my wife said in like a year.
Is it because there are labels that are not facing you?
It's because they're not organized.
They're not organized. Okay.
Everything's not organized. It's just people being normal, and I have a hard time with that.
Okay, hired. So here's the deal. I can tell a lot about people by their pet peeves, and my favorite answer to this question, we were having a group interview, and one of the girls said her biggest pet peeve was when she was at a restaurant and people were chewing their Doritos really loud next to her, or their chips.
Or when people confuse finger foods with like if it's not a finger food, but someone thinks it's a finger food, that's a huge issue for me too.
But I started hearing that, and I thought she seems annoyed quickly with something semi-small. And the guy next to her, his answer was that he's annoyed with people who are annoyed with people who chew chips loudly. I didn't hire her, and I hired him.
Shunda.
Yeah. I hope neither one of them are listening today.
Well, you know what they say. I'm sorry about that. That's one of our thrivers out there in Alabama laughing right there. Tim Johnson, ophthalmologist.
Okay, next question. You ready?
Yep.
How old are you?
38.
What would your 38-year-old self go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
I would say that your network is your net worth. Surround yourself with people only that lift you up or who are Some people you can look up to or people who can encourage you. Avoid the idiots.
Is
That's
that
I
what
would
your
say.
18-year-old self would really care about at 18?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Okay.
I've been self-employed since I was 16.
Okay, so
22 years.
what would it tell your 15-year-old self?
Don't date anybody you're about to date.
Wait, one more time.
Don't date anybody you're about to date. I dated like a lot of people in high school.
Don't date anybody that you dated.
Yeah, it's like my whole thing was like I'll go on like a date with the person. If it's not a good fit, I move on. But I went on a lot of dates, a lot.
Okay.
But it ends up nobody was a match. There was no Vanessa there, you know.
When somebody comes up and asks, now I'm going to move into just asking you you're hired, okay?
Oh, wow.
You're hired.
Oh, wow.
But from one CEO-ish to another CEO-ish, when somebody comes up and says, Clay, I'd like to pick your brain on a few things. Can I schedule a lunch with you for 30 minutes? Your answer is?
Now, currently, this is what I say. I would say I have 5 kids and a wonderful wife who I like to chase around, and so I'm going to have to say no. But I have an in-person workshop you can come to, and I'm there for 2 days, 15 hours. Any questions you want? I stay late and get there early. So like the last one I got there like at 5 a.m. to meet a guy and answer his questions. So I'll do that. I got a podcast we put out every day. If you email your questions, we'll answer them. Or I have 160 coaching clients, but that's it. And then I value my time more than money, but I'd love to help you in those ways. And I've written a lot of books.
You have written a lot of books. I've read every single one of them.
There you go.
The phrase, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
You heard that phrase.
Oh, yeah, I believe in that phrase.
Apply that to the last 5 years of your life, something that you've done that just because you could didn't mean you should have.
Well, I mean, depends on the point of view. I usually plant a tree every weekend.
Okay.
So I just go to Lowe's and buy a tree or Atwoods.
Just because you can.
Yeah, and I just enjoy it. And I also I don't wear the same socks twice.
Really?
Yeah. I buy
Wait,
new
you
socks
disposable
every day.
socks?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want them. I don't like when people touch my things, so I just buy new socks every week.
Wait.
Yeah.
You don't like to throw them in the washing machine?
No, because it require interacting with other people who do things differently than I do.
Well, okay, back up for just 1 second.
I would need my own separate washer.
Let's somebody get Clay a separate washer.
No, I would just. My wife's wonderful, and we have a wonderful lady who helps clean our house. I just don't like people touching my things. I have an issue with it.
Okay. Can you come over here? I just want to touch you for just a second.
No, I'm just saying. So like at Walmart, they have shirts by the brand called George that you can trust.
Okay.
George, a great brand. And George, they have shirts for $3.99.
Wow.
Rather than washing them, I just buy 7 a week.
Do you really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna double check that because I just have I want to
You
believe
see my bags of socks. You see the containers. Every once in a while, people don't believe me, and I'm like, here, have a pair. Because I don't know. It's easier for me.
Okay. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to hire you, but I'll ask you 2 more questions and see if I will. If you worked for me and I gave you a full week off and I said, Clay, go do something outside of the box, completely outside of the box. You have 1 full paid week off. What would you do?
If I had a whole week.
You had a whole week from Sunday to Sunday. Nope, from Saturday to Sunday.
Work.
Okay, outside of the box.
Outside of the box?
Outside of the box.
Well, I mean, I kind of sort of live this life you're describing. I like what I do. So
I know that you do, but outside of the box, like let's say outside of Tulsa, you have 1 full week.
I'd go to Denver and I would grab a Moscow mule at all the eclectic places and just sit and talk to no one and listen and take photos of iconic and unique things. I love to go to places and spaces and take photos of ambiance and bring it back into my building or into my life. And I like to just watch it happen. Like I do that a lot. So we had a cheer competition. My kids were cheering. I went and cheered for my daughters. I'm there. I'm present. But then like when the other teams are going and I don't know the kids, different. Vanessa knows my move. I say, I shall be back. And I just walk around Bricktown just observing. I'll go into a business and just watch how sales happens. And I'm going, I wonder why everyone buys those bagels. That's interesting. And I'll start taking notes and I'll diagnose the workflow and I come back with a diagram.
And I'm going to buy a bagel every day with my socks.
Yeah,
my $3.99 shirt.
There it is.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what not that you asked, but
I wanted to know.
If I had a perfect week, not a perfect week. If I had, let's just say, I'm not even giving myself a whole week. I'm gonna give myself 3 days.
Sure.
Okay. This is what I would do because this is what I was going to do 2 weeks ago. I felt like if I was going to do this for myself, then I wanted to do it for all of my employees. So I surprised them on Monday, and I said, next Monday, I'm going to give all of you a paid week off.
Really?
Except you have to do something completely outside of the box, write a story on it, title it, and bring it back to me. And whoever has the best story, most outside the box, I will give you all the Fridays off in August and September.
You did this?
I did this.
And this happened
last week.
This really happened.
It really happened.
Okay.
Well, I've got two of my people right here.
People can vouch for it.
Vouch for it. And so I gave them all the week off, and we split it up into 2 weeks. And then I got 130 papers. So I went with my family on vacation this week, and on the plane there and on the plane home, I read all of the papers. Cried at almost every single one of them.
Really?
Really moving, really touching. One girl went to visit her 88-year-old grandma, got in the car, drove 8 hours. Her grandmother didn't have a single person to spend her birthday with. It was her grandmother's birthday, and she spent the whole week with her grandmother, and she wouldn't have otherwise. So it was just really cool things that happen and some domino effects. So I thought, I want to do this. And so I wanted to...
Somebody out there, by the way, is going, I can't believe this guy spends all this money on socks every day. That turns out to be sort of an expensive thing you did there.
Well, it didn't, because I would have paid them anyhow. They just weren't working. It didn't cost me extra money.
I'm just saying most people out there listening would probably say, what? They wouldn't understand. And I think this is why I like having you on the show, or I like to be on your show right now, is people that operate in a different flow and frequency could understand this, and the people that can't don't get it. And it's really weird, but the more you do stuff like that, the more success chases you. So I know you didn't do it to chase success, but you did it out of an altruistic reason, which I don't. What was the reason?
The reason was because at the beginning of the summer, I started realizing, my kids are, my girls are 11 and 14, and time goes so fast, you know that.
Yeah.
And I
14's a tough year, by the way.
It is a tough year.
Oh, you're like,
uh-oh. They should make a movie
Quit
about
looking
that.
at her. Stop it. What's wrong with you guys?
They did.
You sick freaks.
So I started looking at, a lot of my employees have kids, and kids my kids' age. And I just started thinking how fast it's going to go, and I don't want them to have their kids home being watched by somebody the entire summer, only to be sitting there with me and me feeling guilty about this. I know that sounds crazy because I'm paying them. They don't have to be there. I'm paying them because they need a job. But I thought, what can I do to compromise so they will have the incredible memory of being with their kids, as well as being at work and working for me.
That's part of what made that 4-day work week a thing here.
Yes. Okay.
It's part of that thing.
You had that same feeling, like you want them to experience.
I'm married to someone who has that feeling.
Yeah.
And with my kids, I'm very good now at saying no. So I don't feel that. I do work a lot.
Sure. But
I'm also with my kids a lot. So I feel good. But my wife has said things like, hey, we didn't create kids to let someone else raise them, which we've always homeschooled and stuff. But still, if there's a few hours where we're not there, we kind of... So, I try to do sneaky moves. Like I hired my daughter's friend who's a boy. Not a boyfriend, because it's 14.
No,
I hired that guy, Joey. I got my eyes on Joey. I know what he's up to. I was once a little teenager, and there's no good plans. Joey, listen to this. Watch. Be fearful. But anyway, so we brought in Joey. We kind of involve our kids in the business. So Havana works at Elephant in the Room, and Aubrey takes out trash sometimes.
Well, my heart started aching, not aching. I mean, I know it sounds crazy from the outside, but I wanted them to experience something that was just so not a week. If you plan a vacation, you know how the stress of planning a vacation, I've heard you talk about your vacations, that you plan it for 6 months, then the going on it, and then, everything just takes so much out of you. And not that vacation isn't great, but sometimes it takes more work than it's worth it. I
have a lot of clients I've worked with for years who are very wealthy now or have done well. And I can say, and Andrew, you probably could have seen this, almost as a default rule, I'd say 95% of my clients who go on vacation always say they came back feeling more tired.
Yes.
So I would say if you're going on vacation, maybe change that.
Yes.
Like do a staycation. Maybe tell people you're going out of town and then just don't go out of town and just hang out with the family.
Yes. So Clay says, just lie. So what I did is I told them on Monday, so they only had 1 week.
Real quick, that's more of like a deception. It's more of like if Trump is talking to the Russians and they're like, hey, when are you going to spy on us, Trump-tastic? And Trump says, just to be honest with you, 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Sometimes,
Holy cow.
Sometimes you got to have the deception move there.
Clay says just deceive.
Yes.
So
When going on vacation.
I told them on Monday. So they did not have time to really plan this large vacation.
Yeah.
And the 130 letters that I got back, I'm not kidding you. It put into domino effect something for their lives that they may not have done otherwise. One of my favorites was that a girl decided, in thinking about what she could do, whether she should go out of town, whether she should go visit friends, she decided that she was going to sign up that week on Monday on a dating app.
Dating app?
A dating app that
Christian
she had heard
singles?
I don't know what it was.
Mormon
I don't know
singles?
the name of it.
Farm
She-
singles?
She signed
Tell
up
us the
for
truth.
it.
Sorry.
I think she probably created the app herself during the time she had. But she signed up for it, and in our Monday meeting this morning, as I was reading some of these letters, I read her letter. I just thought it was so neat, and I said, "How did it go? Did you go on any dates? How did it go?" And she said she met a guy. She's been out with him 3 times.
Whoa.
And it is going really, really well. And I'm not kidding you. I think I'm going to be her matron of honor.
Really? Wow. Wow.
So that was just one or two. So the winner. Do you want to hear the winner?
So are you saying as a tip, meet a guy, go on 3 dates, then get married? Is that what you're saying?
As long as you have me
So
as the matron
step
of
1,
honor.
be deceitful. Deceive your people. That's tip number 1.
And then take a week off.
And then take a week off.
Sign up for a dating app.
Sign up for a dating app and then get married right away.
Yep. And
Jill Donovan's tips for success.
So the girl who won all the Fridays off in in August and September, she wrote a letter and she said that she felt like she had been losing a part of who she was. And it had been going on for a year or so, and she just didn't even recognize herself anymore. And she thought about what she wanted to do that week. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And jokingly, she said skydiving. Well, the joke turned into a reality.
No.
And she gifted her 70-year-old dad this gift. The two of them jumped out of a plane. She was jumping away from any negativity in her life, jumping towards the life she wanted. It was a symbolic of what she wanted to do. And she said she's not the same. And she won.
So life changed.
Life changed
Big
for
win
her.
for your team.
Yes.
Big win.
I'm going to tell you really quick what I decided to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I decided to, my dream was to go, I've never been to Paris. My dream was to go to Paris for a day, less than 24 hours, take a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower, paint it, not paint it, but draw it in front of it with that little chair like you would as an artist.
Real quick, I have audio of what I would have said if you told me I was going to Paris for a day. This is audio of me telling Andrew. I said, Andrew, if Jill does that to me.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
So you liked this though.
So you don't like to travel, but for me it's 17
Mogi.
hours in a plane of forced downtime.
Oh.
And so I booked a flight to Paris.
No.
Yeah. For myself, okay? And for my daughter.
Oh, the two of you.
To Paris. Okay.
Can we do this real quick? Mm-hmm. We're gonna call Reggie here from he has a group. It's called the No BS Band, and they're on Forbes. And I was on Forbes one day, the YouTube channel, and I see this band called the No BS Band. They're playing, and I like to kind of interact with these people. So I reached out, said, "Would you be on the show?" He made a poor life choice. He said yes. So we're going to have him on. Then we're going to come back as a segue. So it's like
that is a perfect segue.
Reggie's in the middle. It's like, speaking of going to Paris with your daughter, let's call the head of the No BS Band, Reggie. So let me hit the old dial button here. All right, we're getting the ring in here. Getting that ringing action going. Really pick up. It's always embarrassing when they don't. Here we go. Reginald. Here we go.
Hello?
Is this Reggie?
It is.
Reggie, this is Clay Clark here with the Thrivetime Show in the birthplace of tourism, Tulsa, Oklahoma. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you're joined here with Jill Donovan. She's a guest on today's show, and she is also the CEO of a company called Rustic Cuff with 135 employees, and we're excited to
Reggie.
interview you.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. I'm fantastic.
Now, Reggie, how long do we have you here? Because we want to have you on the show for hours and hours. We have like 30 minutes or 20 minutes. How long do we have?
Oh, however long. I knew I was going to do this, so I don't have nowhere to be. I'm good.
You're my kind of guy. Okay, well, here's the deal. For the members of the Thrive Nation that aren't familiar with the No BS band, they are familiar that our show, we start off every show, and our show is known as the Thrivetime Show. It's business school without the BS. So I don't know how I found you, but I was on Forbes looking for something, and all of a sudden your band showed up there. And you guys are really, really, really good. Are you aware how good you are?
People tell us, but you try not to think too much about that. Just keep trying to make the art,
Now, the Forbes where you crashed Forbes, I'm going to cue up just a brief audio here, so people. I see you right now in the video. Let me just cue it up here. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let me get into the really good stuff here. Where you're really getting after it. I can see you there. You're playing the trombone, I believe.
Yeah, I'm playing the trombone. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you guys start this band? Why did you start this band? Educate us.
Educate you. No BS Brass. We're out of Richmond, Virginia. And me and my buddy Lance Kohler, a drummer, we were in a bunch of different other types of bands in the city, including a New Orleans type of jazz band. And we wanted to write our own songs, but at the time there was a lot of resistance to that. They're like, it's fine, we can just play at clubs and we don't have to make stuff.
Yeah.
But Lance and I disagreed about that. We wanted to make something. We wanted to have something our own and permanent that we owned. So we created No BS Brass, which is, like you guys, brass without the BS.
Now
we made our own stuff.
Now, is Lance the guy rocking the mic? Is that the guy, Lance?
Lance is the drummer.
Lance is the drummer. Let me cue it up here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see Lance on the drums. I see you, Reggie. Now Jill's going to have some hot questions for you here. She's going to have some tough questions. She's going to paint you into a corner. But before she does that, here's my question for you:
Gotcha.
How do you guys get paid? Like, do you guys? I mean, you know what I mean?
How do we get paid?
Yeah. I mean, do you have like gigs you do, or how do you become a full-time band?
Well, especially with a band our size, you just slowly work at it in a way that it doesn't sustain each person. But then as we were doing it, we were just like, we're just going to be like any other band. And if you can just be like any other band, it's just like, pretend like there's only 3 people coming. And then we show up, and then our show is larger than life. And then our price gets to go up. We can pull in all different types of people. That's the way we get paid. We aren't just doing jazz. We aren't just doing rock. We aren't just doing sleepy stuff. We go into restaurants and cause a ruckus or play in theaters sometimes.
Yes.
And we played at jazz festivals. We played at metal festivals. We played outside, inside, on top of the mountains in Colorado, in Amsterdam, over by the fountains and stuff.
How many dudes are in the band?
We get paid by working a lot. And then we split it up and get happy. I mean, if we were a band of 2 people, we'd be doing really, really well.
How many dudes are in the band?
We have 10 people right now in the band, and we have 1 woman now, which is great.
Really? It's like the Smurfs.
Yeah, Sam Reed, a singer, yeah.
Reggie, did you all have professional jobs outside of being in the band?
Yeah, some of us do. Some of us are professors at Virginia Commonwealth University. I used to teach at the University of Richmond, and I don't do that anymore. I'm mostly just play music is the only thing I do, except at home if I play other gigs.
So
and
you went from
one guy, our drummer, he owns a studio.
You went from a professor to being full-time in the No BS band?
Well, a full-time musician, No BS is one of the things we all do. Anytime a musician's just not a guitar player or a bass player, they normally have more than one band that they play in. So my band was an idea. I was in college for music education, and I knew all these horn players. And we should be a band. We should just be a band instead of being, unless you're talking about a ska band or something, there's only going to be 1 horn in a band. Or Chicago, which has 3 horns in the band, or something like that. So I wanted to create something that all of us, we can just be a band together. So that's how it works.
So with your band, the listeners out there, some of the listeners out there, Jill, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen. And we have Christmas parties. Yeah. Jill, do you still have a Christmas party, or have you decided to have a pagan party on an annual basis?
We have Christmas in July and then a Christmas at Christmas, and I definitely want to hire you for that.
And do all your employees show up for this thing, Jill?
Yep, every single one of them.
Okay, so last year, Dr. Zellner, my partner, and I, we had a Christmas party. Andrew, you were there. You saw that. You might want to hop on the mic here today. We're gonna be note free, my friend. Okay, so Andrew is been working with us for a while here. I'll mic him up here. But Andrew, how would you describe? How many people are there at the Christmas party roughly?
It was like 300.
Like 300 people at the Mayo Hotel, and we're just being yuppies. What is a song we can listen to right now that's indicative of what you can do? Is there a song on YouTube right now that you're like, Clavis, check out this. This is the song.
You can look up 3 a.m. Bounce.
3 a.m. Bounce. Okay, I'm doing 3 a.m. Bounce right now. I'm pulling it up here. I'm an amazing public typer on an audio-only show.
Is it going to make me want to dance?
It's going to make you want to dance, make you want to, like, party.
Okay, here we go.
Across the room.
I want to party. Okay.
Oh, that's a live video.
Here we go. Let me get it. Oh, here we go. Oh. Well, I'm just going to let it happen for a minute. Just Reggie, give me 30 seconds. Here we go. Oh, it's so hot. You guys are sick. Have you guys ever been tested for like swine flu or something? You guys are sick. Oh, man, wow. Get out the Lysol. These guys are sick.
What does the girl play in your band?
She's our new singer.
Oh, she's your singer? You have a singer?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a singer proper, and we're in the process of writing a new record now, and we're going to mix all that crazy brass fieriness with a powerhouse vocalist, and it's about to be ridiculous. I'm telling you. I can't wait.
I have a question that I've been wanting to ask from 10 minutes now. When you decided to walk up the stairs at Forbes, did it ever cross your mind of the possibility of getting arrested?
You know what? It's always a possibility when you walk up in a building like that, making all that noise.
But what was going through your mind as you were walking up the stairs?
We couldn't believe that we were there. You know, Forbes were trying to do like a cool music thing at one point. And I was like, sure, we're here. We're in town. We're in New York playing like a Winter Jazz Festival or something. And then we went to the Forbes building, and I started going up the stairs, and there was Steve Forbes. He was just there.
Oh,
there. I was
staring at you.
Oh, snap. That's Steve Forbes. If you look at that, go through that first video of us, Novius Crashes Forbes, you'll see him standing in the stairwell.
I saw
He's just like, oh, cool. Thumbs up.
And then you just marched all the way up to the rooftop.
Oh.
Yeah. We went. Actually, we took a pit stop in like where everyone was working at Forbes and played inside of there and disrupted work for a while, and then we went to the rooftop.
Bold move. I love it.
I will say that I think, and I've been self-employed since I was 16, and Reggie, I want to get your take on this. I certainly want to get Jill's take on this. I think being self-employed is like crashing Forbes with a brass band.
Oh, good.
Man,
point.
that is very, very astute, because you have to have this blind confidence that this is going to go right, even though there's no evidence of it.
Well, imagine this. Steve Jobs, imagine that he went out and tried to get a permit to start building hardware at the age of 17 in his parents' garage. He's not going to get that approval.
Wow.
Imagine Hewlett-Packard trying to get approval to open a business out of a shed. Imagine Uber, even now, trying to get approval to make Uber legal. Imagine Airbnb trying to get permission first. So it's like a ask for forgiveness thing. I got a question for you that I know Jill's going to one-up me with a better question. But this is my question for you. Now that you're full-time, do you ever worry that the manna will stop coming? Like you worry that like you'll run out of gigs and you're going to end up living in a van down by the river with your mom?
You know what? I'll say this about music life and about business life. If you don't keep grinding, the phone calls will stop coming. You know, like the only way to keep the grind going is to continue to make products, make records that I'm very happy about. I show up and play with other people's bands and make a great impression, or I show up on a podcast and try to make a great impression, or just it never kind of stops. I'm always trying to go forward, and therefore try to just forget about the thunderstorm of, hey, the calls aren't going to come in. And then when I get times in which the calls come in less than I would like them to come in, make sure I spend that time wisely to like pivot, like what we're doing now, pivot, make new music, make sure like they didn't stop coming in because I've gotten stale, or like, always like make sure that we're doing as good a job as we can do, or I'm doing best of job that I can do to like tell people that we are available and we're here to like rock your house. You know what I mean? As much as it is. So it's active, you know. I bet anyone that's self-employed is always thinking about, I hope the phone doesn't stop ringing. But staying active, I think, is the goal, the magical bullet. You keep going. You keep the blinders on. You know, things are going to slow up. You absolutely are going to make mistakes, especially a group our size. You know, personnel issues and just interpersonal stuff always riles up, and egos, and where are we going? How long is it going to take? Is this going to be worth the money to go that far? And, you know, I don't know of any good band or company or anything that will exist without fights and conflicts.
Amen.
So, you know, trying to figure out how to work through that and keep it going. This is our 11th year as a band.
Wow.
Which is, I don't know hardly any bands that stay together that long, successful or not. You know what I mean?
Reggie,
groups of people don't stay together that long, period.
That is so true. And I would hire you just based on the last 2 minutes of conversation, what you just said.
Oh, thank you.
You're just so smart. I have a question. It's twofold because Clay's was only one fold. So
Oh, wow. Double fold. This just in. Double folded question.
I'm ready.
If you, the first part is, who has had the most influence on you musically for what you're doing now? And the second part is, if you could play with anyone, singer or musician, who is that person?
Wow.
Double fold.
Double fold. They have to be. I'm gonna go with people who are alive now.
Great.
Or people I want to play with. So of course, I mean, Quincy Jones is still out there doing his thing. I would love to be anywhere near him with our group of music, you know. And Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I love so many. There's so many. Elton John, you know, he's still amazing. You know, Public Enemy, Wu-Tang. I can think of a ton of people I want to play with.
Did
And
you
my
say
biggest
Wu-Tang?
influences are, what did you say?
Did you say Wu-Tang?
He said
Of course,
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang Clan forever.
Oh, give me one of your favorite old school Wu-Tang jams. Just one that's just amazing. Old school. Give me something just old school.
Old school, of course, you got Liquid Swords, you got Protect Your Neck, you know, Triumph is always great. Anything ODB did was amazing. And actually, Wu-Tang Clan, I would say, also one of my big influences in musically, because I grew up loving movie soundtracks, and I loved kung fu movies, and a lot of that I didn't hear about until I listened to a Wu-Tang Clan record, and then I went and found all these Shaw Brothers movies and Finding Bruce Lee movies, and
Joe, I'm sorry to derail you
and all
there.
that stuff.
I'm sorry to that right there. I think I'm just trying to, add a kind of a bonus to that fold, the double fold.
You did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to you in the booth, Jill, and we're in the same booth, so it's really a very quick transition.
Reggie, best concert you've ever been to?
Best concert I've ever been to. I think one of the best.
That influenced you in some way.
Can I say two?
Yes, please. Even better.
I would say the D'Angelo comeback show at Bonnaroo. I forget what year it was, right before Black Messiah record came out. That was incredible. The Roots were there as part of his band. Jesse Johnson from Morris Day and the Time was playing guitar. It was amazing. And then another one would be Radiohead. Seeing Radiohead at Coachella a million years ago was like transcendent. They're like an amazing band doing amazing stuff. Bruno Mars is also amazing. He's doing pop music, but he's one of those guys that, like, it didn't really matter what he did. He could have probably been an Olympic swimmer or anything, like he's amazing.
I think he was.
Now, I have a question for you here. Now, I know it was rude. I talked to before the show. I talked to Jill. Well, we didn't talk about it. It's more like an osmosis connection sort of thing with Andrew and Jill and I, and it was unspoken. We could feel it. And I was asking them, mentally, telepathically, if it would be okay to mic your recent recording sessions without your permission, and then to air the audio clips of the inner workings of your band behind the scenes. And they said, absolutely not. And I said, okay, and this is all mentally. It's all just, it's a private conversation. That's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to mic Reggie, because I've never met him before. What better way to build that rapport than to mic the guy? And that way you can hear that band conflict behind the scenes, and you can air it right here on a podcast with someone he's just met. So this is audio of you really getting into it with your bandmates. Apparently you're frustrated about some certain lack of participation. And I'm going to play this audio clip, and if you could just break down what you meant by this, that would be great. So just let me play it in its entirety. Don't cut us off here, and we'll let you have your time to counter. Here we go. Let me cue this up.
I gotta have more cowbell.
Okay, you hear that there?
I gotta have more cowbell.
Yeah, I hear that.
Do you regret those remarks, or what do you?
I do not. Not only did I want more cowbell that day, I still want more cowbell. And
Beautiful.
I feel like every band on earth needs more cowbell, and that's that.
Do you like cowbell though? Is it one of the fundamental instruments of the No BS band? Do you have a cowbell readily available at all times when you're playing?
I actually do. I actually have a cowbell readily available at all times. I could probably grab a cowbell near my feet somewhere in this room right now.
Really? You have one?
The cowbells are everywhere. They're the best things that you could think of. You know what I mean?
Now, okay, so here's some questions about the it's a business show, so I want to get into the financial aspects of this. How much does it cost if someone out there wants to book you guys right now? The 10 of you. It's like the modern day Wu-Tang brass band, the No BS band. How much would it cost? No BS, by the way. Don't do that thing of Clay, it's going to range between $1 and $50,000. I mean, is there a hard fee? Because it's No BS band. We have to know. What are you going to charge for the listeners out there to book you? Is there a minimum fee?
The minimum, not if you're a friend. If you're a friend, you know how it is. You always can get it for friends. For strangers, we hover around $10K to $5K.
$10K to $5K.
$15K.
And he said stranger, so it's if you're more strange, it's going to cost more money. So if you're more in the middle, it's going to cost less. But if you're stranger,
if it's really, really cool, hey, we'll just do it for whatever. And if you want to make it very difficult, it might be $30K.
Jill, it sounds like a hot deal right there.
No, here's what I would pay for. I would pay that amount if you would allow me to play my melodica with your band.
The melodica.
Done.
Do you know what do you have a melodica? It's not really considered in the brass family, but you know what a melodica is?
It does. It's not a brass instrument, but that's okay. We have a saxophone player also. I have a melodica that I'll bring to
You do?
Just in case you forgot yours.
You play it?
Oh, yeah, of course.
If I would pay you that amount if you would allow me to come to a gig and play one gig with you.
Oh, yeah. What song you want to play? You got it. We got you.
I like a little bit of Sinatra. I like some of Michael Bublé songs. I don't know if you've ever heard of Barry Manilow.
Go ahead.
Yeah. That might not be quite fitting for your band, but it's the kind of music I like. So if we could meet in the middle,
Frank Sinatra, we can do "Under My Skin" from the live at Count Basie in the Sands.
Yes,
that's the best, in my opinion, the best Sinatra record, the live at the Sands with Count Basie Orchestra.
I have
you
to
can do
agree
"Under
with
My
you.
Skin." You got it. I got you.
Okay,
like,
a deal.
Blin, blin.
I have audio of Jill playing the melodica, which is interesting because I don't know that she knew that she had audio. This is the first clip. I'll give a few different clips, and you can critique her melodica playing there, Reggie.
Sorry,
just kind of
Reggie.
just let her know what she could do better. Here we go. Let me hit play here. Let me cue it up here. This is okay. Here we go. I think we're ready. Whoa. Oh, Jill. Shunda. Oh, wow. What is it? Oh, take us to the next level, Jill. Oh, get some more cow on that track. Here we go.
He's not going to hire me on that song.
Oh, wow. That song right there, that song's going over really big right now in the nether regions of the Appalachian foothills where there was no internet service.
Back to Reggie.
Okay, Reggie. What could she have done better, Reggie?
What did you say?
What could she have done better? I mean, just overall, was it just the attitude? Was it not having an attitude of gratitude? Was it?
It wouldn't have made it. It wouldn't have made it for the No BS band, but I could have walked up the stairs with you to Forbes. I could have done that.
You know what? I feel like the only thing missing with that is cowbell, really. Just
see?
Cowbell, and I would be happy.
Now, Reggie, I work one of my clients I work with. His name is Colton Dixon. He's signed to Atlantic Records, and his A&R is David Silverstein, who represents Ed Sheeran and Jason Mraz as well. And Colton has explained to me and kind of shared with me how people get paid in the music industry. So if you're on Spotify right now, can the listeners find the No BS band on Spotify? Can they find you?
Absolutely. It's No BS Brass Band. No BS Brass.
And what's a song they should listen to?
Spotify.
What's a song they should listen to? What's one more song they should check out?
We have 3 a.m. Bounce. We have Run Around. We have covers. We have a couple of cool covers. The cover of Everyone Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. That's really great. We have a cover of Take On Me by Aha. That's on there, and we have 6 full-length records and a live record that we made at our 10th anniversary show last year. That's on there. So much stuff to listen to.
I'm going to play Everybody Wants to Rule the World, just a little segment of it, and I'd like for you to explain to us how artists like yourself get paid when we stream music. So let me cue it up real quick here. This is the live version. Here we go.
Is this at a party or something?
This is you jamming out. This is at, oh, wow. This is you at next year's Christmas party for Jill.
Oh, yeah, Christmas party.
Here we go. I have the ability to play hits in the future before they happen. There we go. Oh, yeah. We're going to the chorus. Here we go. Oh, yeah. So good. Oh, there they are. Folks, you can hire these guys. You should hire these guys. Everybody out there, you can feed a Reggie and 9 other dudes for as little as 5,000 to if you're more strange, if you're a stranger, it's could be more. It could be 10,000. But you can hire these guys. It's a great deal. Now, if the listeners out there go on Spotify and they start just streaming your music, how do you get paid?
Very meagerly. Very meagerly. You get paid through like ASCAP or BMI through which is our organizations that collect royalties from all different types of services, whether it be radio play, TV play, or things like Spotify. And it rolls over into an account. So I think it's like there's so many thousands of streams that it takes to make even $1. So usually the only people that are making money off of streaming are huge label artists that are getting millions and millions and millions of streams. And it's still mostly an advertisement than it is something they're making money off of. I would say most artists are making their money playing shows and selling merch.
Have you ever thought about teaming up with the Method Man?
Yeah. I mean, Wu-Tang forever. Come on.
I feel like he's available. Have you tried? Have you guys tried reaching out? I think he should do it.
You know what? I'm going to reach out to him. I don't have his phone number. I'm sure that you do. I know you're a Wu-Tang insider.
Oh.
And we'll get that working.
I'm inside the chambers. It's very secret. It's like the Illuminati. Now this is Take On Me. And their live version. You guys are just fun. There's fun energy here.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I can see this.
Live video so people really know what we sound like.
It's so good, dude. Cowbell, hear it.
Melodica.
Very important.
Don't hear it.
Oh, the crowd loves it.
Proud.
So I got to ask you, what's the future of the group right now? And then Jill's going to one-up me yet again to keep that theme going. What's the future of the group? Are you guys, you added a vocalist here. Are you putting out another album? Are you touring around this year?
Absolutely. I would say the immediate focus right now is finishing up our brand new album, which will be our 7th album with our new vocalist and getting our new stuff together and back on the road, hitting jazz festivals and playing shows up on the East Coast and West Coast and Canada, Europe, and everywhere else. That's the next move. No BS Brass.
Jill, back to you.
Reggie, I know you're a musician, full-time musician, but you also definitely have the mind of an entrepreneur, which you have to be as well, being a full-time musician. If I'm in a struggling band or a startup band as a singer or piano player, what have you, what is your advice looking back 11 years to somebody like me?
I would say my advice is to second guess yourself less. Like every project you get started on, finish it. Even if you don't think it's great, someone might think it's great. And if your plan is to continue to keep making art, just keep making it. Because the first record's always going to be your first record. Your second record's always going to be your second record, and you're going to keep getting better. And all of the gigs and people wanting to talk to you and all those things, all that stuff snowballs after the music being something that connects to people, however you do, So I would say keep making stuff, make as much stuff as possible, you know, because as when you're young, all you have is time.
That's true.
When you get older, your time is the thing that you're siphoning out like money. You have a little bit more money when you get older, but you have way less time.
Yes. Or
And
feels
time
like
is
it.
kind of what you need to think and make art, you know?
Yeah.
So,
First of all, I love your music. It reminds me, my dad and I used to listen to that music, that type of music, that style growing up. And so it brings back all kinds of emotions for me. I love just your attitude about it and that you just have committed to it, and not to mention that it's just excellent. But I'm just curious, my last question for you, have you ever had to part with one of your band members because it just wasn't working out? Because 11 years is a long time. And if all of you have been together for that long, that would be amazing. But have you ever had to make a decision where you said it's no longer the two of us, or you can no longer be part of this beautiful thing?
I mean, kinda. We've never full on fired anybody. You know, we've been fired by people. You know, but throughout the years, you know, as people's lives change, people move, you know, and people grow up and have children or whatever it is they're going to do, or just go in a different direction, you know, if you don't agree with each other interpersonally. And it can be pretty tough, especially when you're trying to, you know, you can't really replace a friend.
Sure.
You know, you can only try to. That's the difference between bands and just a company. Well, not necessarily true. Companies, you end up having real relationships too, but it's tough when you're dealing with your friends and money start to intersect. You know, that can always be tumultuous. So, you know, going through those things, we just try to like clear the air as best as possible, and you know, speak your truth as what you got it, and continue to make the art that you're trying to make, or keep going on forward with your company, and hopefully you can leave on terms that aren't horrible, but that might not necessarily be possible all the time. And I guess that's just kind of how humans are. You know, there's going to be bad stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the whole thing about perseverance. You know, we're going to have bad times. You know, if the really close friends, you hope we can come around to it eventually, you know, especially in the music world. But yeah, it's definitely tough and a real part of this life.
I'm
So I guess
so
that's my
impressed
answer.
by you.
That's a really rambly answer.
No, I'm so impressed by you and your attitude and just your humility for being an artist and musician, and with the mind of an entrepreneur. It's impressive. I would hire you to come play for my Christmas party, and then I'd want you to stay to play for my New Year's Eve party as well.
Hey, Reggie, can I give out your phone number for the people that want to hire you as well? I mean, because it's kind of like a first come, first serve. Can I give out your number, or should I give out a website, or what's the best way to give the Thrive Nation the education about hiring you guys?
The Thrive Nation can email us at nobsbrass@gmail.com, or they can hit me up on Instagram. I'm at Reggie Pace, or Instagram at Reggie Pace, or Instagram at nobsbrass, and we'll be there. That'll be me on the other end, and I'll take care of you.
Now, I've got 3 final questions for you coming in hot. So here we go. You are very good at something. Some could say you're eccentric, meaning that you are not the center. A lot of people are musicians, but they don't do it full time, or they're musicians, but they're not on Forbes, crashing Forbes. They're musicians, but they're not maybe turning it into a professional thing here. So you've had some success. Therefore, one could say you are a little eccentric. Do you have an idiosyncrasy that is kind of like your superpower? Do you have that thing? Is there something? Do you wear a lucky rubber band every time you perform? Do you refuse to step on the cracks while marching on the sidewalks? Do you have a thing? What's your thing?
Well, one of my things, I definitely don't step on the lines when I'm taking long walks through the city. That's just for fun. Really? But wow. That's definitely an idiosyncrasy. I guess I don't let things go. I don't give up, which is. Being obsessive is definitely bad in some ways, but when it comes to trying to get something done, like getting art done or getting music done, or just doing boring stuff like dealing with social media or emails and dealing with the calendars of 11 people that also have their own lives, you know, there's a certain amount of just tenacity and like don't give upness that I have. I can stay up all night obsessing over something, no matter what, like whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, my wife was gone the other day with the kids visiting the grandparents, and I started reading this book by Tillman Fertitta, and I couldn't put it down. I wanted to. I couldn't. I was like, I have to. Only 190 more pages left, baby. Just 190, and that's 100. And I'm like, I got to get a coffee or something. I'm tired. And then I realized, whoa, it's 2 a.m. I got to go to sleep, but I want to read this book. And I get it. I think most entrepreneurs are definitely obsessive about things that no one else cares about. And that's powerful.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, you did a collaboration with somebody who's also known to be obsessive, if I'm getting this right. Justin Vernon, a.k.a. Bon Iver.
That's my guy.
You teamed up with him. Could you explain to listeners out there who this person is for those that don't know and what you did with him?
Oh, Bon Iver. Bon Iver is a really, really amazing rock band. Justin Vernon is the lead singer and the brain behind the operation, and it's an amazing band. And I played with them often. I still play with them off and on. I played with them a year ago. I played with them for about, 8 years or something. Traveled all over the world, played all of the TV shows, and he's a fantastic musician and also a fantastic mind, an entrepreneur, building his team and his brand that is Bon Iver.
Now, my final question I have for you is about back to business and about marketing for a second. You mentioned activity earlier. Yeah. You got to keep that action going, that activity going. What are some of the marketing activities that you do to generate gigs on an ongoing daily basis? What are some of the practical things that you do? Do you make a calendar and say, hey, let's go on Forbes this month, and then next month, do you have a social media move? Do you show up at local bars and play? What are the daily action steps that you take to generate the momentum that you've created thus far and that you are continuing to build?
I would say making sure to make good contact with whoever you deal with, keeping up with social media, making sure everyone possible knows about every show, which is surprisingly hard to do. Like, social media is very cloudy and convoluted, and they want you to pay to get people to see things.
Right.
So coming up with creative ways to make sure anyone in a town that we go to knows that we're coming, whether or not that's Instagram, which seems to be the way nowadays, and putting up links of us playing, putting up links of our other shows, making sure I know the other members of the bands have things going on, and having that sort of connection, like the social, what's the word for it? Networking.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, oh, my other friend has a band called Brunswick, and my other band, Bon Iver. And it's like, oh, you like Bon Iver? That guy from Bon Iver plays in this band. Making sure everyone knows that kind of stuff. And doing radio, like I try to do a radio thing before our big show at like local indie radio stations, and posters, all the old school stuff in a way seems to be just as valid now because the internet is just full of so much noise.
What you just said about it being cloudy is true. It's so true. That's so cloudy. And I see business owners, it's sad, but they'll spend all their time trying to get likes. Now, real quick, if you're out there and you own a business, you could say, if you'll register with your name and phone number, you have a chance to win a boat. But people are saying, if you like us on Facebook, you could win a boat. So what happens is now, remember Facebook, where if they liked you, you could just post it and all of a sudden they would see your business. But now it's like 1/10 of 1% of the people that like your business can actually see it unless you boost it. So, I mean, that's a thing, man. It's divided so much. What you said Instagram is where you prefer to be, though?
I don't know if that's where I prefer to be. It seems to be where people are.
True.
I think all of us are looking for the place that you can actually talk to your fans. I think you have to get your fans closer to you nowadays than you did before in the past. Like making sure they all know exactly what's going on. Please follow us, and then you can definitely send them an email or definitely send them a personal message, because everyone's phone is just dinging all the time. It's just bing, boom, bing. Everyone's constantly getting these things. So I think a poster at Starbucks is almost just as good, as
back to the
doing
basics.
Social media sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to give a supporting fact. Right now, Reggie, according to Psychology Today, the average American, and Andrew can put a link to it, is being interrupted 91 times per day. 91 times per day. And the average person's cognitive processing capacity has now dipped to the level of a third grader, according to Psychology Today, because of 91 interruptions. I mean, imagine trying to write a paper with 91 dings or interruptions. So I love that you're connecting with your audience. And if you want to connect with me, just go to Mr. Mambo's. 7 days a week I'm there. It's in Broken Arrow. No one else goes there. I go there. I love it. I'm there. I'll always be there. Pretty much every night at Mr. Mambo's, I go there. Whenever my wife's taking the kids to cheer, I sneak into Mambo's. That's my move. Or Atwood's. And I'm just telling you, that's where we could connect. You give me a poster, I'll probably be the only one there at Atwood. Are you familiar with Atwood's, Reggie? Are you familiar with Atwood's?
Am I familiar with it?
Yeah,
I don't think so. I've only
Atwoods
been
is
to
where
Tulsa
you go
once.
to buy trailers, farm equipment, chickens. You buy silky chickens. You buy chicken feed, sod components, Roundup, weed whip. It's a lot of stuff you're into. I'm telling you, you start going there, pretty soon you're going to have a big lexicon of knowledge you build up about Kenny Chesney's greatest hits. And you're going to meet me.
Oh.
And you'll meet guys that'll talk to you kind of different. They'll kind of go slower. Like you think they're in like a slow time warp. They're going to go, well, Reggie, what was your question? And you're like, I just want to know where the chicken feed is. Well, I'll tell you what. And they're going to wait. They're going to let that pause sink in where you think they fell asleep, but they're still there. Well, I'll tell you what, Reggie. You are you from around here now? And then that's a 30-minute conversation. You started at Atwoods. I love Atwoods. Back to you, Jill.
I got to interrupt you for
Sorry,
the
no.
90th time today.
Yeah, sure. No, sure.
I'm dying to know, Reggie. What's the name of your kitty cat?
Oh, can you hear the cat?
No, not at all.
No.
Oh,
No, I
the cat-
can.
yeah.
It's so sweet. It's like it wants to talk to us, but I got to know what its name is.
Marbles.
Marbles. Do you have more than one cat? Are you the guy with 10 cats?
No. This is one cat. You know, this is my girlfriend's cat too. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, I love this cat's cool too.
I have 13 cats, but I do have audio of a cat. I'm sorry that I mic'd you earlier, but this is audio of your cat before the show. You're trying to calm him down a little bit. This is the cat kind of communicating. I think this is the. It's amazing you've taught your cat
That's
to
a baby.
calm down on that. That's amazing. It was before the show, it was a rowdy cat, but now it's a great. What's the name of the
Yeah.
cat again? The cat.
Marbles.
Marbles.
Marbles. You ever think about changing his name to Mambos?
Mambo? Maybe in Tulsa.
Mr. Mambo's in Tulsa. Well, Reggie, I appreciate you for being on the show. Jill, I'll let you close the show. You could do the hang up move where we hang up and he gets mad. You could do the non-hang up. We could say thank you. There's a variety of things you could do,
Yeah.
but then it's just over. We fall off a cliff and it's done. So
All
however
right.
you want to end the show.
I like to end it by asking you to think about if you were on the top of a large mountain and you could yell one word down to, or two words down to everybody in the world right now, what is it that you would tell us?
Vote. Vote.
Boom.
Vote. He said vote.
Vote.
Vote. Oh, really?
V-O-T-E.
Really?
Yeah.
Vote for Reggie.
Holy cow!
He's going to say get out the vote. Okay.
Vote.
Oh,
I like it.
there it is.
Reggie, thank you for being with us today.
Reggie from the No
Thanks for
BS
having me.
band,
You're a dear.
nobsbrass.com. It's nobsbrass.com. If you care about your staff, I'm not going to attack our listeners. I'm just saying if you care about your staff and you want to have a Christmas party that's not terrible, go ahead and go to nobsbrass.com. And if you don't care about your staff, that's okay. You don't need to feel that pressure. But if you do care about your staff, just go to nobsbrass.com. Check them out. Great guys. Thank you so much for being on the show. Hope you have a wonderful day, my friend. Reggie, one more thing. I hear you have a podcast. What is the name of that beautiful podcast?
The Hustle Season podcast.
What's that
Check it out.
about?
We're a bunch of musicians, and we talk about all of the comings and goings of what's happening in the music industry. We talk about rock and roll history, and we talk about random pop culture stuff that's going on, and especially if it has even the slightest of a music slant. So we're like, check it out. It's very fun.
Reggie, thank you once again, and I promise I won't interrupt you with another question again. Jill, speaking of the No BS band, we're talking about Paris and taking your daughter to Paris and you hosting the show. So, Jill, back to you in the booth.
Okay, I was saying if I could do anything for 3 days or a week, the dream that I have had would be to fly to Paris just for a day, go in the Eiffel Tower, sit in front of it with a little chair, take out my watercolors, paint it, and then get on a plane and come back home. Okay, it's a stretch. So I thought this would be, I needed to keep up my airline status that I had. You have you fly enough times that you get to a certain level and you want to keep that level because it has certain benefits. So I thought I'm going to see if I can get a trip to Paris that would help me keep that status. And so I found a really, really, really good deal to Paris for a day. Okay.
For a day.
For a day with my daughter. Yep, that's the kind of music I was going to
I'll just kind of
hear.
put a little just underneath there,
Okay,
a
I
little
like
sound
that.
bed there for you. Okay.
I booked the trip. I was so excited to tell her. I looked at my phone and realized it was the wrong date, like the wrong month.
What?
The wrong month.
Oh. Well, Jill,
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em, leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
that's what I always say when that happens.
Okay, that is what I said when it happened. And so I realized that I had to do something about it. Long story short, my daughter came to me and said, Mom, I don't care where we go. I just want to go somewhere with you for 3 days. Let's go anywhere. And I said, do you trust me to book anywhere? Because all the Paris trips for the actual date were crazy, stupid, expensive. And I couldn't justify it. And I said, do you trust me? And she said, Mom, I trust you anywhere, book anything. I just want to be with you. And I thought, this is going to be the perfect, I'll write my paper about my anywhere trip with my daughter. And so when I was a senior in high school, the one thing that I wanted was a trip to Oregon. I had never been there. I had read all kinds of books about it. My parents gifted me a trip to Oregon. And so I thought, this is what I want to do for Ireland. I'm going to give her a 1-day trip, 3 days, but it's really going to be 1 day in Oregon. Seriously, Clay, I cannot tell you how many hours I spent on this trip. I even got one of my friends to help me. We looked up all the activities in Oregon. We booked them. We booked a rental car. I rebooked. I used the money that I had put in for Paris after I lost money on that and had to have it refunded. And I booked it. I booked it to go to Oregon. I booked a hotel room, and by the ocean. It was incredible. I was so excited. I couldn't wait for the moment that I was going to tell her about this trip to Oregon.
Yeah. You know what, Jill? When we were talking about this Oregon talk, it makes me think of the classic video game that I used to play relentlessly as a young kid, because it was the only game you could play was Oregon Trail. Do you remember that game?
Oregon Trail.
I was
number one for a week on Oregon Trail.
Let me just real quick. I got some. This is Oregon Trail's intro.
Memories.
Okay, back to you. Just wanted to tee up that.
I've never played Oregon Trail, nor do I know.
No, what you have? You have not?
I have not.
No,
never.
Really?
Centipede. That's what I played. Pac-Man and Centipede.
Really? That's offensive.
So she comes home from her friend's house. She was there for a day and a half at her girlfriend's house, and she comes home, and it's our friend's house actually, and from this family. And I have been dying to tell her, because I'm going to show her pictures. I'm going to show her all the things we're going to do in Oregon for our 24 hours in this beautiful state.
Yeah.
She comes back to my bedroom, and I said, "Babe, you're going to be so excited." And she said, "I can't wait, Mom." And I said, "We are going to Oregon." And she said, "I kid you not, Oregon? That's stupid. I don't want to go to Oregon."
Oh, that's what she said?
She said, I have no desire to go to Oregon. You should have let me book this trip.
Oh, it sounds like you're losing in Pac-Man there, so it sounds like, not Oregon Trail.
He walks out of the room, and my youngest daughter looks at me and said, "I'm sorry, Mom." I said, "Do you want to go to Oregon?" Anyhow, long story short, 5 hours before we were due to go to Oregon, we both looked at each other and said, "We don't want to go to Oregon." And so there is now a trip out there. I had to cancel that trip. Now we have a trip to go somewhere because we had to get that refunded. So if we just keep booking and refunding, before we know it, we will have no money left on the airline trips. And that was my 3 days.
Well, let me say this here. First off, let me just.
You know what they say. See a broad to get that booty yak 'em, leg her down or smack 'em, yak 'em.
I've got nothing for you there. I can just say this, that Phil Jackson, the last page of Phil Jackson's book called 11 Rings, really good book. In that book, he's the coach of the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers. Michael Jordan never won a championship without him, nor did Kobe Bryant. They both played great careers, but they never won a championship without Phil. He's kind of like the Zen master of basketball. And he has this notable quote. He says, I'm paraphrasing, I'm sorry to butcher it, Mr. Phil, but he says that most people spend their entire life chasing that which they can only find at home.
So true.
And I thought, that's true. Because I feel like sometimes we want it to be so good, and then what we want is just right in front of us. So I think
so agree.
You know, when we travel, we tried to take our kids to on a cruise, and somehow I found myself at the bottom of the Dallas airport in that, what's the New Orleans themed restaurant? The, what's it called? Papados.
Papados.
I'm down there at Papados with my two oldest kids, separated from my wife and the three kids because one flight got delayed, another got delayed. They said we had room to fly standby. And they only had room, though, for my wife and three kids.
Right.
So then we're like separated now. I'm trying to catch a flight. We get to Miami at like 1 a.m. We wake up like at 6 to get on a boat somewhere. Luggage is lost. We're on a boat with people yelling and screaming and being crazy because apparently I booked a booze cruise or something. I didn't realize it was like a...
But the memories you have from that.
I don't know. I want those memories. That's like telling somebody who's like a victim of a violent crime, like the memories you have.
Do you know how
Cherish
much
those memories?
But do you know how many times that's the second time I've heard that story, and I know you've told it 10 times. It has gotten so much distance out of just that one trip.
Oh, because I do kind of like business comedy. It's good. There's good material everywhere.
Yeah.
It's your laugh or cry.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, my kids are like, we don't want to go on that again.
Yeah.
That was the Love Boat. Our kids are crying when they hear the theme of the Love Boat now.
That's sad.
Love Boat.
They need a redo.
Yeah, we'll have to do
definitely need. I need a redo on that whole Oregon thing.
We had a great time on a pontoon at Keystone, though.
And is that simple? It's down the street from you.
The Brown River of Hope. We went on there.
Yes.
We floated over the Brown Lake. We went on there and pontoon. It cost us like $7. Some guy named Bernie drove us around. It was great.
Yes, that's my dad's name.
Really?
Bernie. Yeah.
Maybe he was the...
No,
No,
he's passed away.
That would have been a
Awkward
weird
moment. Weekend with Bernie.
Okay, we're gonna end with a boom. We're gonna end with a boom, but first, let me boo myself for picking on a fresh wound.
That was 20 years ago.
How many years ago?
20.
Okay, this just in.
Today.
Big shout out to Bernie. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.